Hi there.
I've been out for about 4 hours and this is the first time I've got my camera out. It's not to say that I haven't found stuff, I've found quite a lot of stuff, but nothing particularly wonderful. It was very cold to start off with, it's lovely now, but I'm done. I really, this is my last hole. And I honestly thought, I'm not going to film today. I haven't been out in ages. And I just thought it'd be really nice just to get back into it. So a few of the bits and pieces I found, I recorded just on my phone. I'll show you those now quickly.
Might be nice. Oh yes, and it's still got its pin in, hasn't it? Look. Gosh, the sun at this time of year so low all day. I hope you can see it properly. Okay, here we go. Yeah, isn't that lovely? That wasn't that deep either. But it's still got its pin in there. So I think, is that all one piece? I have to clean it up a bit. But yes, it is. So it's not a buckle plate, I don't think, and a buckle. It's all one piece of copper alloy, and a lovely pin there. Is that even a little bit of trace gilding there? Might well be. I think these are quite early. I think they've got to be. That's really cool. Well, what a lovely coin this is. I've already started taking the mud off it. It's a bit caked in there. Nice early Britannia on that side with beautiful legend, great detail. So hoping it's a as early as a William III or George. Yes. Again, it's a bit cakey there. Got to keep a slight eye out for these horses. All the way over there, they're fine, but they're being a bit sprightly. Yeah, that's a nice coin. That'll clean up nicely because that's got really good detail on it. Worn, but not corroded, and that's what makes these coins nice. Just another lovely buckle, I think. Look, that's the strap end. So when you see these just copper sections with a little rivet there, I mean, they look really boring, and come on, okay, let's face it, they are really boring, but just a tiny bit of copper, centimetre long, with a bit of a rivet like that, well, it's a sign of something better, isn't it? Because look at this. It's just a cracking buckle. Tiny one with its pins still there. I love these little pins. I mean, that's the strap end itself with its buckle still there. A medieval buckle. Now they're sort of 1250 to 1450, they reckon, this sort of type, I think. But that's just charming. Really, really cool.
So those 2 or 3 bits were really cool, and I found the little Roman coin as well, and a few other bits and pieces, including this. Very recently in the same area, I spent a long time doing very diligently an area I know isn't good, but I've never really done it, so I've just got to do it. I've got to do it to show myself that it's done at least. You can't just leave somewhere because you don't think it's very good. You've got to do it as properly as everything else. And I've moved back up at the field because I was getting a bit bored for half an hour, and I found an area which I've been on a few times, but probably not very well. This is one of the other things. I'd have no idea what it is. It looks to be a bit like a snake. And part of me wonders whether it's a ring that has been knocked about a bit. I just don't know, but it looks like it's got a hole in it there at the top. I don't know even how old that is. But this, my last hole of the day. We're going to come back here tomorrow, so I'm not too worried about this being a short video, because it'll hopefully be a much bigger one with what I'll find tomorrow in this area. Now, I thought, oh, just another piece of rubbishy copper, until I noticed it's got a design on it, a lovely design, and I could feel on the back, I could feel something going on, and I immediately thought, my God, this is one of these things I've never found before. I think it's an English Jetton that's been made into a brooch, and I haven't seen the other side. I promise you, I'm going to turn it over now. I'll get my camera out to show you turning it over. There we are, let's do it. Okay, here we go, look. Beautiful design, beautiful. It's gonna, but here we go. Yeah, they made these Jettons into brooches. I've read about it before. I've never found one. Now, does it have its pin? Or did it ever have a pin? I don't know quite how they were fixed, these things. I mean, that's just, just bonkers. That's just, you could be forgiven when you dug it up if you thought it was silver, which I don't think it is. I'm thinking that was a big Saxon penny of sorts with that sort of cross, but there's no legend. And these English Jettons didn't have legends anyway, so I'm not worried about that. It's an English Jetton that's been fashioned into a brooch of sorts, and I am absolutely over the moon. Look, we'll go back to headquarters with this now and give it a closer look, and then we can have a little look at what else I found today a bit more closely, and then come back tomorrow. Wow, just goes to show, doesn't it? You keep trying, and you will find it. Hi there, and welcome to headquarters. I'm trialing my new sound device because the old one was, as you know from the last few videos, was really on the tick and wasn't picking up any of the sound at all. Hence, really, really excruciating audio. I am sorry. But anyway, this is a bit of a later model, and even though it looks much swankier, it actually costs less than that one. So we'll see how it goes. I'm quite excited about it. Let's just hope it's as good. Let's chuck it in my pocket here. Get it out of the way. Yeah, welcome to have a look at this incredible English Jetton. Now look, here's a couple of other ones I've got. Spot the difference. It's really, really hard. I'm really lucky. I've found several of these over the years, and even more fortunately, most of them have been in exceptional condition. They are my favourite things. I think apart from Celtic gold coins, I think they're my favourite things to find. I absolutely love them. And here's, as I said, here it is amongst these two. But the difference being, I turn this one over, and there you can see the attachments that make it not a brooch, but we'll go back into this later. It's a hook. Now, I was under the impression that these were not that uncommon. Least of all, I actually knew about them. And I put it on the detecting hub.co.uk. Information below. Where else? There are loads of people who know far more about all things metal detecting than me, and Kath, as always, was particularly helpful and put me onto this site, which basically is all you need to know about these artefacts. Now, they're 13th and early 14th century copper alloy Jetton hooks. They're hooks, they're not brooches. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs exactly of why that is the case, but as you can see, the fitting is slightly different. Anyway, I don't need to go on about them for too much longer because everything you possibly need to know about these things is in this brilliant article called Late 13th and Early 14th Century Copper Alloy Jetton Hooks. Now, as I said, I didn't think they were that common. And even though he says many such modified Jettons have been recorded through the Antiquities scheme, the Portable Antiquities scheme, he goes on to say a little bit later on that, according to him, the expert, he's only come across 124. So they're not that common. On top of that, some people who really do know their onions on the detecting hub said that they hadn't seen one before, or found one at least. So they're not a common find. Even more interestingly for me is where they've been found. Now, they are predominantly East Anglia. This was found in Suffolk, but 37 from Norfolk, 5 from Lincolnshire and Suffolk, 4 from Cambridgeshire, a couple in Essex, and then there's 1 or 2 in Dorset, Yorkshire, places like that, even Peeblesshire in Scotland. But the majority, 75%, something stupid like that, are from East Anglia. Now, why is that the case? Well, more than likely, it was a fashion that originated there and sort of was concentrated around there. But then there's another interesting thing this guy says is that possibly because East Anglia is just a brilliant place to metal detect, and that people in East Anglia may have close relations with their finds liaison officers, more is being reported from that area of the country. Who knows? The bottom line is it's just an
absolutely wonderful thing. It's got a voided cross on one side, which is typical, especially according to this guy. I better tell you his name, actually. I can't keep calling him this guy, sorry. Alex Bliss. Alex reckons that the design on this is not an uncommon one for these Jettons. So look, I don't need to go on about them any longer, because all you need to do is read this, and you'll be as knowledgeable as Alex is on it. And I'll leave a link to it in the description, but it's definitely one. I don't like the word bucket list. I prefer the phrase to-do list, and this was on my to-do list. I've always wanted one of these. So not only is it one of my favourite things to find, it's a really quite a rare hook type of some sort of to adorn the personage in some way or another. So anyway, thank you very much for listening to all that. This is the precursor to the main event, which you'll see coming up right now. But to have a video with two and more, there's more after the main event, but to have a video with 2 or 3 discoveries like the ones in this one is just really, really just wonderful and really fun to do. So, see you a bit later.
Well, I'm in a bit of shock. This is not the following day, it's the day after. It was just so cold yesterday that even though I think it was diggable, I didn't come out. And today's not much warmer, but it's absolutely beautiful. And I've tested the ground, and even though it's a hard frost, I can get my shovel in quite easily. I'm just going to where I want to be. And I don't have my speaker with me today. I don't know how much live digging I was going to do. I'm not too worried about that. I've gone up and down here a lot because it's where I tend to pass where I go. Probably not taking it too seriously. I got a tiny beep. Now I don't know if 2 or 3 days of hard frost has made signals come out which weren't there before. It wasn't obvious. It was just a nice squeak, and it was a long way down. We're talking 9-10 inches. Now, where is it? This is the first dig of the day. This is the first hole I have dug. Now, there's quite a lot of talk we go on about, don't we, all the time, of that, you know, on the way home, on the way back to the car, the very last dig. This is the very first dig, and I might as well go home. I really don't need to be out here any longer than this, because it's a gold ring. Now, I'm in slight disbelief, because I haven't found gold in a long time, and on your first dig, I mean, I really honestly might as well go home. Right, it is tricky light today. Right, there we go. That is gold. It's got to be, hasn't it? Don't now tell me it's a bottle top of sorts. We'll just take the mud off in the middle here. Wow, that is old. That is medieval writing. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it looks to be medieval to me, and there's definitely stuff on the inside as well. I'm just so blown away. I'm basically speechless. This will have to go through the treasure process and all that lot. It's a posy ring of sorts, I think. I don't know. I just don't know. Well, I mean, that is possibly the most important thing I have ever found. We're not going to be able to keep this. There's no two ways about it. We're going to go back to headquarters now and look at it properly. Well, I just really don't know where to start with this. I mean, I cannot stop handling it and looking at it and trying to decipher it. I mean, I do feel that find of a lifetime is bandied around a little bit too often. Until I found this, I don't think I'd ever had a find of a lifetime. I mean, a find of a lifetime really is what it says, something you would never, ever, ever expect to see again. Hi, Taskles, come on, up you get, come on, up. Sit. So, and I do get a few of you saying, please, can we see a bit of Tasky? I know he's probably not everyone's cup of tea, but enough of you do seem to adore him as much as I do. So here he is. He's not been out with me a lot recently, but he's been doing lots of other stuff with me rather than detecting. So he's on good form. Good boy, Tasks. But sorry, back to this ring. Yes, as I said, I mean, I've dreamt of finding something like this. I really, really have. And now just to have it in my hand, just absolutely amazing. Now, before some of you get your knickers in a twist, this is treasure. There's nothing really more treasury than this. It's gold. It's over 300 years old. It will have to go through we call in this country, for those who don't know, the treasure process, which means you've got to report it to your coroner or your FLO, who will then report it to the local coroner, and then you have to go through a long, tedious, arduous process by which the museums or anyone else who might be interested in it, who's allowed to have an interest in it, can take it off your hands for a sum of agreed money. Some of you have asked me to do a video on the Treasure Act. I'm not as expert on it as some, but we could go through the whole thing with this ring. Let me know if that's something which might be of interest. I've reported it to the Finds Liaison Officer. I'm also, before giving it to them, I'm going to take it into London and have it valued. I don't think this will be remaining with myself or the landowner. So I'd like to have someone else's expert opinion on it before it goes out of my hands. Once it's with the Finds Liaison Officer, I suspect I'm unlikely to see it again. So I think someone else should have a look at it. But let's just get to what we do know about it. It's medieval. It's probably 14th or 15th century, maybe slightly earlier. It's got Gothic capital. It's got Gothic writing all around the outside. I think it's often referred to as black lettering. And there is perhaps an argument to say that there would have been some sort of black enamelling or something in the gaps of the lettering. Now, we can't really make out the lettering exactly. I think I can see in star sign SEIN and then BLANUD, Blanud, whatever that means. I mean, it all sounds a bit German to me. The outside will need to be, hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it once the experts have seen it. And in the middle, on the inside of it, in more italic writing, it looks rather runish, but it's not. I think it says something like trust in God. And there's a little flower or a rose or something in it. And therefore it is a posy ring of sorts. Now, there is a book here. They're brilliant, these books. They're brilliant, these books. They're published by Greenlight. And there's a whole series of them. But the Discovering Jewelry one, well, I never had to refer to it before. It's a brilliant reference book for posy rings and all sorts of jewelry. I mean, there's probably not an awful lot there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rings. To save you going through all of them, I can't find that much. We're having a bit of trouble finding something particularly similar. This one, that one's quite similar with Bis Bas Bein, which is sounds a bit Germanic as well, but anyway, we won't go through all that now, but it is it's a handy reference book, that. And the other thing about this ring is it's a stonking great thing. I mean, it weighs close to 8 grams, and a lot of the rings that I'm seeing in books like that, well, they're they're 2 or 3 or 4 if you're lucky, but to find something which can pretty much fit a modern finger, I won't I won't squeeze it round the joint there, my knuckle there, because might not get it off. But anyway, I'll keep you up to speed with how we get on with this. We've now all seen it and had a look at it, and as I said, it won't be in my hands for much longer. But this really is properly find of a lifetime. I mean, I don't think I'm going to find anything like that again. I might be a little bit naughty by saying UK metal detecting find of the century, but we're 25 years in, and well, it's got to be close to it, hasn't it? It's got to be near it. I mean, you don't find big stonking medieval gold rings every day. Anyway, I'm really lucky. At the moment, it's with me, and that's wonderful, and I'm keeping good care of it, but I don't think for much longer. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to all that. And let's go back to the fields where I find it really hard to concentrate, but I do find, well, there's one thing especially. So it was worth staying out for, even though my mind was miles away from eking out the tiny wispy signals with that metal detector. Anyway, thanks very much, and see you later. Well, there's no way I can concentrate now, but we will go on. I mean, I've just got here and see what else and see what else there is to find. So well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Well, that made a bit of a scratchy old sound, that. And at first it's not much to look at. Ooh, wind's picking up a bit. Where's it coming from? There, I think. I hope you can hear me. They're not much to look at at first glimpse, these things. Let me come around this way. They look like just a square buckle, but they're actually quite early. They're earlier than you might think. And they also do have a bit more decoration on them than they might look like at first as well. Now, that's really nice. I can't remember what they date to. We'll have a look when we go back to headquarters. But I'm really pleased with that. And it gave a bit of a scratchy signal. I think this wet, damp, hard ground is... The signals are being a bit confusing today, I've got to say. But I really like that. That's good. And then another thing I found, which again made a socking great sound. I will start doing some live digs in a minute. I don't know what I've done with it now. Anyway, that's a really lovely thing. Nice buckle. Well, I've dug a couple of these in this field. It's a tiny thimble. It's squashed. And that's why it looks it's probably sort of bigger and wider than it really is. But that's an early copper thimble, I think. Well, I know it. I know it is. If you know me from my films, you know I'm not crazy about thimbles, but I don't mind early ones like that. It's a really hard day really today now, because nothing's going to beat that gold ring, whatever I do. But we'll keep going. As I've just said, nothing's going to beat that gold ring today. So I'd be amazed if anyone's still watching. But there are still signals here, including this. It's a little bit irony, it's a little bit buzzy. It's not very sharp, but I don't think signals are today. But it's bang on the surface, giving me a big loud double beep. Just there. It's just a big lump of lead. It's just a big lump of lead, sorry. I don't think we'll do any more live digs. I don't think I can put you through watching me dig rubbish. So we'll just keep going till I find something good, and then I'll show you it. I think that's the best way now. Well, that's quite nice. That really is. It's a tiny little thing. I'm back in the area where I found that Jetton Brooch. Now that is a dress hook of sorts. Definitely, I would have thought, with the hook that side there. And it's very simple in design. And Lord knows what it dates to, but I bet it's early. We'll have a look when we go back to headquarters sometime, if not this video, in the next one. But I'm thrilled with that. Look at that. That's a delicate little object. Well, what a day. What a day. We'll dig this and then call it a day. The reason, by the way, I've got my waistcoat, or rather my gilet, over this at the moment is because I've just got these brilliant new electric hand warmers. And if my pouch thing is round, the whole thing, I can't get to my pockets. But these are a bit of a godsend, I must say. I don't do sponsorships and stuff, so I won't bang on about how good they are or who they are, all the rest of it. But if you don't have any, just search for electric hand warmers. Do you know? And get upset, they're really good. Buzzy sounds like a cartridge. I mean, that's what they all sound like. The amount of cartridges, like all of you, that I do dig up. And if this is no good, I've just found something really cool I've got to show you, which is probably headquarters worthy as well. And then we can have a look at all sorts of bits and pieces. It's too ferrous now to be any good. It's such a shame to end on that. It's going to be a bit of crappy cartridge, I can tell. Even worse, well, it's not even worse, because you can be really forgiven for digging these. It's the point of a bullet. It's a bullet, isn't it? Now, I mean, that solid copper, solid bronze could be any number of wonderful things, but it's not. But look at this. Sorry the live digs have been so rubbish today. Doesn't really matter since you couldn't hear them. But this, now, quite often when we find things like these, you think, oh, that's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. And then you see the telltale sign of a pin or a little hole halfway down, which shows you exactly that you've got a Georgian buckle fragment. Now, this isn't a Georgian buckle fragment. I don't know what it is. It looks to be copper or bronze. It thins out a bit there. There's a bit of a circle there. It looks like there's a bird there. And on the other side, similar patterns going on. Look, gets a bit blobby, sort of there. That's not a bronze blob by any means. That is a decorative object of sorts, and it's lovely. It's really, really cool. Do you know what? Is that a catch? It's a brooch of sorts. I'm sure of it. If that's the catch of where a pin would go. I've not seen anything like it. We'll go back to headquarters. I'll say goodbye from there. And meanwhile, if you don't want to know what this is, this sort of dragonesque looking brooch, and I'll say goodbye now. Thanks very much for watching. Had a great day. But anyway, for the rest of you, let's go.
Do you know what? I don't know what we'd do without the detecting hub in this hobby sometimes. It has just got a selection of the most knowledgeable people, all in different fields. There are people who are good on coins, there are people who are good on Iron Age, there are people who are good on flints and knapping and stone. There's not much that's going to get past them. These three things that we found, I mean, I'm absolutely amazed by them, really, because it just meant for the most incredible day overall, not even mentioning the ring. Now, the first thing, we'll do that last, actually. This little dress hook, well, it was saxon, and they are so fine. Now, by dress hooks, I think I'm right in saying that through these little holes here, they would have been attached to an item of clothing, a cuff or a sleeve, or maybe just the thing that goes across your bosom, and that would have been the hook part. And then you would have had one part which would have had an eye of sorts, and that's that fastens your clothing. So that is, that's more than 1,000 years old, possibly, maybe even more, and it's just in the most that might be 1,400 years old and still in wonderful condition. It's even got a bit of decoration on it. And then this, the last thing we found. Now I put it on the detecting hub because it just reminded me of something, and with that little section there, that catch, I thought that was the catch of a pin for some sort of brooch. So my mind was thinking dragonesque type brooch of sorts, or something odd or Viking. Now, I don't think it is that. I'm going to try and get through this quite quickly because I've kept you for quite long enough, quite honestly. Now, didn't get a response particularly because I think it rather foxed everyone. But I questioned Tony Electus and said, "Come on, what do you think it might be?" And he reckoned straight away, and there's not much that Electus doesn't know about. He said, "Do you think it's a failed casting of a Roman dolphin buckle?" Now, I mean, I would have thought, my suggestion before even reading that was it looked like it'd been in a fire of sorts. But when you go to what Phil all over pointed me to, and he's very good on his Roman and Iron Age stuff, there are all sorts of dolphin brooches. Now look, a couple of these look incredibly similar. We'll go to this one. There's that one there, which I pointed out. So the photographs that come up from these are tiny. And then Phil said, got me onto this one. And said, well, look, what about that? And actually, if you look at it, you know, it's very, very similar. And looking at it now, you can see where it would have worked as a buckle, the way it bends around like that. So that's basically what it is. Electus has probably nailed it. It's a failed casting of a dolphin, of a Roman buckle. Now, they're rare Roman buckles. I mean, I've hardly found any over the years. So that's just a wonderful item. And then lastly, but not leastly, my gut feeling was, is it a little handle of sorts, or is it something that's a bit buggered? It's not. It is, as I put in the bit of text right at the beginning of the video, it's an Iron Age brooch. Now, I mean, it is extraordinary, this hobby. So we've had Saxon, Iron Age and Roman all in the same afternoon. And again, Philip, all over, who, as I said, is brilliant on his Roman and Iron Age stuff. He said, well, Electus first, he said Laten fragment. Now, Laten is a swanky name for sort of late Iron Age. I think there were a load of stuff was found in Switzerland, and the word originates from that, I think. It's that sort of design. And there are several people who have very kindly put up photographs of similar ones that they've found, and that's what it is. It's part of an Iron Age brooch. Now, very, very quickly, in the last of it, is Phil said they don't usually have a hole in the returned foot. Would have had some kind of decoration attached. And then he shows me this picture that came up for auction, and there it is. There's a brooch with a sort of coral, with a sort of attachment there where the thing would have been. Tasky, come on down. Task down. And you've got a sort of decoration there, so that's what that would have been. So, I mean, God, we're lucky. Iron Age, Roman and Saxon. Thank you very, very much for joining me on that. That was just the most extraordinary video to make, really, and something that I don't think I'll be doing in a very, very long time again, if ever. So thanks for joining me, and see you next time.